Hey everyone, it's Kenlyn, and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to talk about 6 distinctions that I took away from a live call with Brene Brown just last week that totally lit me up. It's really like bringing the spiritual into the corporate world, into the world of leadership. And so, as a midlife spiritual woman, and maybe you're the same, you'll get really lit up because these are the things we've been working on. And now it's like a section of mainstream is catching up. Now they're not going 5D yet, but we'll hold the space for that. But let's start with number one. Number one is this polarization between technology and humans. So this is this AI, and Pluto and Aquarius, you've heard me talk about it. That is the signature for AI. We don't even have to know astrology to know that because things are massively changing. And as we know, 2025, we go into more air and fire. Everything speeds up, and AI is exponential. So right now in machine learning, AI is learning from itself because it has literally consumed all the data in the world. Now that's fascinating to me. So it's learning from itself. Now, what she said, now I'm going to bring it down to being human because part of the game we're playing, the codes we're playing with is heaven on earth codes. And we are evolving. We're evolving. Now, let's remember states and stages. We're not just evolving in our state of consciousness, which means I felt my light body, I dissolved in form, I felt my rainbow body, or I traveled through the ethers, I met my galactic guides. All that stuff is really cool because it shows us that we are not just this. And there's a big and. We are on Earth. And if you're called here during this time, you're not called here to leave, you're called here to be here. Heaven on earth codes. So that means that we get to wake up in a body. We get to be here now. And that is stages. So states are those states of enlightenment, but they don't do anything for how you're being on the planet. Stages are your stages of growth and development, and those are hierarchical. And they're included and transcended, which means that if someone has a lower worldview than you, like someone who says us and them a lot, those people are evil. I'm good and those people are evil. Anyone who says that, black and white, has a lower worldview. In Ken Wilber's world, that could be more of an amber worldview. That's me and my people. We're good, but everyone else deserves to die. And we have heard that, like as of a few weeks ago. The Prime Minister of Israel said those exact words. So that is a low worldview. And at the last count, it was like 70% of the world was at that worldview. But as spiritual people, we are including that. We used to be that, and we're transcending that. You cannot skip. You have to go on the hierarchical ladder to grow yourself up. So that's the conversation we're having here of where has this stage conversation gone? So basically, AI technology is premiumizing, making premium the human experience. Isn't that incredible? If you go back to my original AI video, I said that AI will never be able to have a story. It will never share your story, which, what does that mean? What was I getting at? It means that AI will never be vulnerable because it doesn't have emotions, or if it does, it's programmed emotions. We have actual emotions, feelings as part of our organic makeup. AI will never be us. As things get more polarized with AI and what AI can do, it's going to take off the table jobs that are rote that can be done better by AI because it's a distillation of way more knowledge than a human brain has the capacity for. And so what's that going to leave us? We shouldn't bemoan that. We should actually get on the side of it and start looking at what are the jobs that are uniquely human? What are the roles for us? So it's really premiumizing vulnerability. Isn't that incredible? Intimacy, connection, community. So let AI clean your house, to put it in a way that most of us will be like, yes. And we can spend time sitting down, having tea with someone else, getting to know them, and or letting them get to know us. Same, intimacy. So that is one of the main drivers of the future. So no matter if we have driverless cars, we already have them. I was talking to Tanya Lynn this morning, and she said that she was in San Francisco and that she saw 5 driverless cars. They're already out there doing the thing. And I'm sure you know about other things that are happening that will infiltrate mainstream when the energies go into fire and air. What Brene Brown said in regard to this number 1 is that when we're working in a structure that has more than one person, and even with one person, but like in a structure with other people, a company, it could be a small business, could be a large business, we want the people we work with to be more human and not less. We want them, however, to have skills. And this is what I'm going to talk about in this video. So number 2, one of the big premium qualities of an emerging leader, and this is you if you're listening, is self-awareness. Now, isn't that awesome? We've been working on that since I was in my early 30s. And some of you longer. Self-awareness. What does that mean? We get really clear of our motivations, our truth, our shadow. It's massive amounts of shadow work because otherwise everything is a projection. And here's the thing about self-awareness. It's a discipline. You don't just have it and then it's there forever and you don't have to do anything. No, you have to constantly discipline yourself because, as Gurdjieff says, we're really on autopilot, and it takes something to get out of the drift, out of autopilot. Our habitual response, in other words, is going to be wanting to be comfortable, and comfort means I don't want to be vulnerable. As Brene Brown says, I like vulnerability in you, but I hate it in myself. The most incredible women's circles I've ever run were when I was on my knees and I was crying and vulnerable, and I didn't plan it that way. It's just how I showed up. Now, I can't manufacture that. I'm not always in that state, but it was great to be able to continue to show up even though I was in that space. That's what I'll say about it. Because if someone's in continual breakdown, it's a little concerning. But if someone's just real and letting you in on what's really and true, I had like mouth surgery and I was all swollen and I let everybody see me. That was really vulnerable. And then that allowed other people to let themselves be seen. Okay, so self-aware leaders it's going to be one of the top criteria. Some of you who have not been in action in the world because you've been working on your spiritual growth, it's going to be time, and listen to my video for the Astro update for August 11th. I'm going to share with you what's happening over the next year and a few months, but this is your time to get in action. Because you haven't been getting these skills, you haven't been up leveling or skilling up, as Brene Brown says, for nothing. It's for this moment. So what we know is that the old style of leadership is over. Now, what was the old style? And some people, honestly, I hear parents still practicing the old style. Do as I told you to do, damn it, or I'm going to punish you. That's old style leadership. That's called domination. Now, I get it. Kids can be relentless, but that's still old style leadership. That's still domination. And you got to learn a new way, not to not parent, not to not lead, but you got to learn a new way. That's what we're here for, a new way. And what Brene Brown says is we got to skill up. It's not, we have to go beyond what we've been taught as kids. So if you think about it, we haven't really been taught that well because first of all, the consciousness wasn't very high. There was like a handful of people I know her parents were super granola, but still the stage possibility was it was lower than it is right now. We now have a higher bar. That's a better way of saying it. So no matter who you are, how you were raised, and chances are most of us were not raised in households that had a lot of ability to have critical conversations or sit with uncertainty or hear people's truths, right? Am I right? But now we have to skill up. no matter where you are, talking to your children, talking to your neighbor, talking to the customer service representative, talking to your employees. I'm not kidding. We have to skill up. And the other thing of skilling up is going to be taking responsibility for your own needs, not projecting them on other people. You should know that I need this. Also, speaking for yourself, I statements rather than you statements. You statements are projecting. Now, the way you can say it is, it occurs to me that the story I'm making up is. That's all in Brene Brown's books if you want to get your quotient of emotional intelligence bumped up. But those are things that we're going to have to do because nobody's going to want to be around or take direction or heed the counsel of people who don't have this skill set. And that includes business, that includes non-spiritual spaces. So the other thing that I'm going to say in number 2 about the self-aware is really important. It's the ability to hold paradox. So if you're playing a black-white game, like I'm good, you're bad, then we know right away that you don't have the ability in that moment, like in that example, to hold paradox. And that's maybe because you're distanced from your own shadow, your own evil, your own not goodness, your own liar, whatever it is. So when we've done shadow work, we see things as paradoxical, how we can be all things. It's way more complicated than slapping a label on someone, is it not? And I think in this political climate, it's really good to remember that. An integral worldview does make distinctions. It does say this is a better idea than that idea. It doesn't mean all ideas are equal. It simply means that we have a way of working with it, addressing it, that's up-leveled, upskilled. Okay, the other thing that I said already, organizations must level up beyond what people have learned growing up. So the old is not going to carry us through to the new. And I love this one. This next one, number 4, is beyond thought leadership. And I love this because this is really the Aquarian age. The age of the guru is over. The age of now we're trying this next fad because that's more top down and that's giving my power away a lot of times. Sometimes it can be like, wow, that was a really good idea. So I'm not saying that ideas are out or a person's perspective is out or a person's wisdom and learning is out. No, not at all. But we're overlaying that onto my own wisdom, my own body awareness, my own knowledge of myself. So we're going back to know thyself. If you don't know yourself, you're not self-aware. And if you're not self-aware, then you're going to be subject to the next trend, the next, what so-and-so said. And AI is going to crush you. Why? Because AI can go faster than you. And this takes me to the next one, which is know the difference between productive urgency and reactive plate spinning. I love that. Brene Brown said that. So that's what a leader is going to have to know the difference because things are urgent. It is get on your game. And I spoke about that in the August 11th Astro report. Get on your game. And at the same time, no reactive plate spinning. So that's what this time period is getting you to understand what's the difference between I have an urgent need to give my gifts. I cannot tell you how many times women have told me that. I have an urgent need to play big. I'm stopping playing small now. I have an urgent need. That is juxtaposed and different than, distinguished from reactive plate spinning, which is just not going to do anything, like keeps you in place, right? So that a leader is going to distinguish that. And the next, whatever that was, 14 months, if I can do the math right, from now until November 2025 is really what that change is all about. So listen to August 11th energy forecast. That goes back to that beyond thought leadership point. She quoted this Papua New Guinea tribe that says, knowledge is only rumor until it lives in the bones. knowledge is only rumor until it lives in the bones. This is embodied wisdom. So leaders must be embodied in their wisdom. That's the locus of where we make decisions, because no book, no coach, no strategy, just because it worked for someone else, no template, methodology will work for you just because it worked for someone else. It could work for you, but not just because. It has to align with your truth. It has to align with your vision, your goals. It has to align with your embodied wisdom. And if it doesn't, then it won't work because it's not for you. So we're leaving the age of this objectively real thing out there called, XYZ management strategy, the surefire management strategy. And we're leaving it for embodied wisdom. And that doesn't mean like they might give me an idea, I take it on, but then I have to actually be on the mat myself and experiment and go, yeah, that point is not, that doesn't work for us. Let me try it this way. That still takes courage, massive amounts of courage. So I think vulnerability, courage, self-awareness are the touchstones of the new leader. Oh my God, I'm so lit up about this. I'm going to be talking more because it makes me so excited to see what it is we're bringing through. Now, the final thing is I've really kind of hit the highlights of it, but I'll say it clearly. Build tolerance and capacity for uncertainty. Build tolerance and capacity for uncertainty. Because the world, the template hasn't been written for where we're going into. Usually we analogize to the past. Our brain filters everything through what's happened in the past. That's how it stays safe. Oh shit, that happened before. And when that happened before, this happened. And that makes sense, right? Rain on a bunch of mud on a hill is a landslide. You only have to go through it one time to know that that's the equation. Next time you see rain on mud on a hill, right? So that is actually working. But then we over apply it because we get into deep existential fear. And then it becomes rules about things we can't observe, but that we make up to keep us safe, seemingly safe. It's all an illusion. So we need to pop the balloon of the illusion and live in uncertainty. And for me, that's what spiritual women have been doing when they decided to go on a spiritual path and confront their shadows. So we, sisters, are poised to lead. So you get in the game. And let me support you. If you would like to get in the game, let me support you get in the game, because I know it's not easy, but you're being called. You just consider yourself drafted. All right. So I'm going to end with this kind of thing. She talked about the velocity and complexity of change. So it requires this groundedness on the interior, while this mutability to adapt. That's a very mutable quality. Virgo, Pisces, Sagittarius, Gemini, those are mutable signs, very adaptable, changeable signs. And then you look at the fixed signs like Taurus and Libra and Scorpio and who else? Leo. And those fixed signs are more those grounded anchors. They don't like change. So when we work together, we know when to be grounded in our truth and when to flow in the wind, because I won't snap the branch if I'm flowing in the wind. So it also gives us something else that's very important when we are expanded in our capacity for uncertainty. The moment can arrive. Do you get what I'm saying when I say that? The moment can arrive. We can actually create a transformational moment by our being present in the moment. It will arrive. I think that for me is the juiciness of being willing to be uncomfortable in the middle of uncertainty. So those are the 6 qualities of the new evolutionary feminine leadership. I'll just say it that way. It's infiltrating into our corporations and it's calling you forward. It's time to step up and in.